All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a dynamic, completely unhinged cinematic story that takes us on an absolute wild ride. We're plunging headfirst into a chaotic narrative where the brutal, high-stakes criminal underworld collides, hilariously, I might add, with the everyday, exhausting struggles of modern childcare. Yep, we're breaking down the journey of a few hardened criminals who stumble into the absolute most unexpected heist of their entire lives.
So to really hook you into this narrative, we got to ask a core question. What happens when a high-stakes heist goes completely off the rails the second a crying baby enters the getaway car? This premise, it's the absolute engine of our story. We're looking at a scenario where professional thieves, guys totally accustomed to breaking into safes and outrunning the cops, are suddenly faced with an obstacle they literally cannot punch or drive their way out of: a tiny, demanding infant.
And this setup brilliantly illustrates the massive three-act redemption arc we're exploring. I mean, we start with our protagonists at rock bottom. You've got Thongs, who is so consumed by his gambling addiction that he's dropping 10 grand each to win the trifecta on numbers 4, 8, and 3 for races 3, 4, and 8. Then there's Octopus, who's busy dodging angry ex-girlfriends on the phone, literally yelling at a girl named Monique, "I told you I'm a monk now." He claims he's realized chasing every woman is a loser's game, so from now on he's only going to find the rich ones. They are selfish, greedy, and morally bankrupt, but a huge transformation is waiting for them. But before any of that transformation can happen, we have to establish the sheer desperation of these guys. Thongs, Octopus, and their mentor, Landlord. These are guys with serious technical skills. We're talking modifying high-tech locks with infrared rays. But they are completely backed into a corner. Why? Well, they owe 100 grand, and the massive $3 million they were going to use to pay it back, and then some, gets robbed right out from under them. It gets taken straight from Landlord's personal safe, which he hilariously tried to disguise. The crew literally asks him, "Why is it that you put your money in the refrigerator?" And he defensively yells back, "It's not a refrigerator, it's a safe." So now they're left screaming, "What am I going to do? I got nothing. I got rubble on my precious money."
To make matters even worse, their personal lives are just in complete ruins. When Thongs tries to bring his family's stolen goods as presents, his father completely rejects him. He looks him right in the eye and says, "All you do is steal things, and you expect us to be happy about that? You're not my son. Nobody wants you here." It's harsh, right? But it deeply highlights their fractured, isolated state before the real catalyst of our story arrives. They are completely untethered. Then, suddenly, a staggering $30 million ransom appears as a lifeline. A powerful triad boss desperately wants his estranged grandson back, and he gives his men some pretty chilling instructions over the phone, saying, "I just want to know if you have the baby yet. Get rid of the others if you have to. I just want the kid." This astronomical sum is the ultimate temptation. It lures these broke and broken men into accepting a remarkably dark job: kidnapping a billionaire's baby. The actual kidnapping sequence is pure kinetic chaos. They literally snatch the baby from a hospital ward right in the middle of a frantic delivery. You can hear the doctor yelling, "Come on, Mrs. Lee, or we won't be able to get the baby out." But the getaway drive, total disaster. First, they're stuck behind some slow driver yelling, "Can't you move out of the way, asshole? You've got a kid in the car." Then it turns out their getaway driver lost his license for speeding, which is brilliant for a getaway driver, right? They immediately hit a police roadblock. The cop hands him a breathalyzer and says, "Sir, blow into it, don't suck," before demanding they unzip their bag. They have to pull a gun and frantically back up to escape. And if violently evading the cops wasn't enough, they end up having to hide the stolen infant from Landlord's own wife, who tragically lost a baby 20 years ago and desperately thinks it's time to move on with this miraculous new arrival. They quickly realize that outrunning the cops is easy compared to this. We really heavily lean into the comedic contrast here. These hardened criminals are forced to sing nursery rhymes just to survive the getaway drive. When the baby just will not stop wailing, they try absolutely everything to get him to sleep. I mean, they're desperate. But they finally discover that their off-key, frantic renditions of Twinkle Twinkle Little Star are literally the only thing that actually calms him down. It's hilarious. So the crucial point is how they are forced to adapt on the fly. When they attempt to hand the baby over to the gangsters brokering the deal, they receive an incredibly specific, fast-paced crash course in parenting. The triad enforcers are literally ordering them around. Test the milk temperature on the back of your hand, mush up the food, and make sure you hold him with your left arm so he doesn't cry. Oh, and give him orange juice at lunch. It's an absolutely brilliant subversion of the typical tough guy gangster trope. We have to pause for a second to appreciate the sheer absurdity of their subsequent shopping trip. Desperate for baby supplies, these clueless bachelors end up throwing down 40 grand just to cover everything, and they even try to pay with a discount sushi card. They're so out of their element that they end up in the store buying adult products, daytime sanitary pads, and genuinely wondering if breast enlargement powder would somehow work on an infant. The learning curve is incredibly steep and they are failing spectacularly at first.
As we move into the second act of our explainer, the focus shifts pretty drastically. We pivot from pure slapstick action to a deep, emotional realization. Day by day, as they feed, bathe, and protect this kid, these outcasts are actually bonding with him. Without even realizing it, they're stepping up and becoming the attentive fathers they never were in their own personal lives. The stolen baby is actually rescuing them. This brings us to the beautiful turning point of the entire narrative. Despite the promise of tens of millions of dollars, they look at this innocent child and their consciences finally awaken. They choose morality over the money. They declare they're going to do the right thing and attempt to return the child directly to his parents, willingly walking away from the ultimate payday. Let's plunge right into the incredible finale. The third act rapidly escalates into absolute chaos. They try to return the baby, but things go horribly wrong at an amusement park. Meanwhile, the triad boss is screaming over the phone, "No more mistakes or I'll kill you myself," after a massive traffic accident on Lobster Bay Highway completely derails the handover. Our cinematic framing shifts abruptly right here, going from a light-hearted action comedy straight into a chilling, high-stakes thriller. We encounter the terrifying motive of the triad grandfather. Driven completely mad by the death of his own son, this guy plans to trap the baby in a freezing room within the amusement park to create what he calls a beautiful ice palace. He's morbidly trying to replace the family he lost, completely regardless of who he hurts in the process. It's incredibly dark, and suddenly the stakes are literally life and death.
The tension totally peaks in this terrifying trap. Thongs and Octopus fight off waves of henchmen, but they end up locked inside this freezing vault. They are trapped behind a Swiss computerized lock with over 4 million combinations, the exact kind the CIA uses. There's no way out, and the horrific reality sets in as the baby's temperature starts dropping dangerously fast.
I really want to highlight the sheer kinetic energy of this climax. By the time they finally burst out of that ice room, the baby has flatlined. They frantically locate a car battery under the hood of a nearby vehicle, hook up jumper cables, and act as a makeshift defibrillator, literally shocking the baby's tiny heart back to life. It is raw, it's desperate, and it proves their ultimate selfless devotion to this child. This brings their whole journey full circle. It proves how the chaotic set pieces actually resolve their character arcs. I mean, they went from the sheer selfishness of gambling their lives away to paying the ultimate price for redemption, sacrificing their freedom and risking their own lives to save another. They are finally taking true accountability for their actions. But the story has one more incredible twist for us. Following their arrest, the movie treats us to a hilarious yet deeply moving mock execution sequence. The prison guards put on this highly realistic performance to scare them straight. Believing they are literally about to die, our protagonists offer these genuine, tearful, and profound apologies to their estranged families, which really solidifies their inner change. And the payoff is just wonderful. Their selfless actions ultimately reward them, not with stolen millions, but with reduced prison sentences. When they finally get out, they are reunited with baby Matthew. Even better, the billionaire parents hire them for legitimate jobs, driving sports cars as their personal chauffeurs and bodyguards. They finally found the family and the purpose they so desperately needed. So I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought. What is the true cost of redemption, and how many chaotic mistakes does it take to finally escape your absolute rock bottom? This perfectly encapsulates our wild, heartwarming explainer today. The journey from absolute selfishness to heroic sacrifice is what makes this story so ridiculously compelling. I really hope this analysis leaves you eager to revisit this action comedy classic.